One of the things you say in the book that I just love, because nobody just says it this bluntly, is don't respond to an email. It's an exponential mess.
There's 3 things you can do with an email. So my framework for getting to inbox zero, which it doesn't mean that you're literally at zero. It means that you have a grip on your email, that you've got less than, say, 20 or 30 emails. But you can either reply, you can archive, or defer any email. And often, every email, there's a boomerang effect. You know, the more emails you send, the more you're going to receive. So just proceed with caution.
Exactly. You don't get as much pushback. And I also really agree with is that organizationally, once you get past the problems of email, the biggest problem is usually meetings. And one of the most common questions I get, which is how can I, prioritize time for complete concentration and flow when I'm being meeting to death and I'm in meetings all day long. And I always say the same thing. I say, look, I'm going to give you the answer. You're not going to like it, but here's the answer. Meetings are a waste of time. Don't have them. You're having too many. If it's a meeting with more than 3 people in it, chances are the meeting's about somebody's ego anyways. So that's inefficient.
I think that every business on the face of the planet, like the 2 starting points is get a grip on your email and optimize your meetings. I don't think that you need to cut all of them, but probably a huge percentage of them can be cut. But those are the top 2 things. If you dial in your inbox and your meetings, probably get half a day of that full day back almost immediately. And it's not rocket science to do those.
Let me ask you the question that I get asked a lot, which is, I'll be talking to somebody who is not the CEO or not even in the C-suite, and it'll be the meeting discussion. And their next response is, I don't have any control here. What do you say there? What do you do next?
Well, that's the behavior change with all this stuff in the context of a team is the trickiest part. So no one is just looking for more training on how to use email, or no one's looking for another tool to add. They're looking for the benefit of these things. And so it needs to be really clear kind of what's the benefit? Why do I care about this? Why should I prioritize this over the bazillion other things? And, getting my book into the boss's hand and or a phone call typically is the way. But also, if you're an individual listening to this, go and tell your boss, I did a time audit on my work week for the last couple of weeks. And it turns out that I'm spending less than 20% of time on meaningful stuff. Did you realize that between email, meetings, scavenger hunt, all this stuff, 50 to 80% of my work week is already eaten up. So any new project you're giving me, I've only got 5 to 10 hours a week of available time on anything. Did you realize that? I think it's a problem. What do you think? Well, let's explore ways to optimize this.
Give me your do's and don'ts for meetings and how you think about it. Have you found that doing the time audit tends to be the thing that tends to convince those? And is that your big lever for that one?
Different levers for different people. I think that everyone realizes that they're drowning in work, drowning in scavenger hunt. Meetings are inefficient. I think that at this point, you don't have to convince people. It's more, convincing them or making them aware that there's a solution. And that's kind of where I'm at. But with meetings, first of all, you have to think about the cost of a meeting. I think last year alone in the US, I read an article that $37 billion was wasted in productivity due to meetings. And the funny thing is, a lot of the meetings that people are having are around how to make meetings more productive. So that's what's ironic. But every meeting has a cost. If you do a 3-person meeting and each person on your team makes $50 an hour, let's say, is their hourly rate, that's a $150 meeting. Like oftentimes when you start getting into these big meetings, like you're talking multiple thousands of productivity cost. How do you reduce that cost? Well, it's a function of the number of people, the hourly rate of those people, the length of the meeting, the frequency of the meeting, right? And so think every meeting, does it need that many people? Think for every meeting, it's weekly. Could we do this bi-weekly? Think for every meeting, it's an hour. Could I shave off 15 minutes somehow? And then there's strategies that you could think about in order to do that. You fill the time that you're allocated. So if you have an hour meeting, you'll be able to accomplish everything you need in 45 minutes.